SMC. Hey guys, here we are. Arabian Nights, Part 9. Oh boy, it's getting exciting again. Round and round we go. Now, where are we on this drive? Oh, today's drive. We're going to be boogieing through the Salt River Canyon again. Heading west on the US 60. We're going to go right through the Salt River Canyon. And we're going to end up on the other side at a timber campground. And it's basically the very top, and she's downhill all the way into the valley. All right, so where we left off on this story, Arabian Nights, we were going round and round and round, and one of the threads that we were finally getting back to picking up was the fisherman who had tricked and captured this ifrit back into a copper bottle that he had let him out of in the first place, and the guy said he just had to kill him. There was just no other way. But then he was a crafty guy, that fisherman, and sure enough, he tricked that genie right back into that bottle, and they went back and forth telling each other stories about how he should and should not do it and this and that. But eventually we get to this spot here where he says he's going to toss him into the ocean and be done with it. And so the Ifrit is like, oh no, don't do it, don't do it. I'll be better, I promise. If I've done evil, don't do evil like me. Don't be like me. You know, the very last vestige of the desperate there. Okay, so suffice for the ill-doer his ill deeds, and do not deal with me as did Umama to a tika. Now I ain't making this shit up now. Let's start that off now before we get too far here. These stories are not for kids. These are adult subject matter here, and I treat them as such, and I will swear like a sailor. Oh boy, there I know, pissed off all the sailors because we don't all swear, you know. All right, so we just ridden on through the brake check area at the top of the hill, and I always like to pull over a little bit there and let those that are in a rush get by, because there's not another spot for them now until we start going up on the other side. And I generally stay right around what the sign says to travel at. I generally stay within a couple of miles per hour of that guidance for the curves and stuff like that. So it generally pisses people off, and they really want to go a whole lot faster. And now they have to wait all the way till we get to the bottom. Oh, it's going to be at least 7 minutes, you know? Maybe 8. Okay. Asked their fishermen, and what was their case, this Umama Tuatika? And the Ifrit answered, this is not the time for storytelling. Oh, see, he's going to try to get him to release him before he tells him the story. Let's see what he said. Okay. This is not the time for storytelling, and I in this prison, but set me free, and I will tell thee the tale. So he's a tricky bugger too, you know. He didn't get locked up for no damn reason at all, that's for sure. So let's go here now. Okay, quoth the fisherman, leave this language. There is no help but thou be thrown back into the sea, nor is there any way for thy getting out of it forever and ever. Vainly I placed myself under thy protection, and I humbled myself to thee with weeping, while thou soughtest only to slay me, who had done thee no injury, deserving this at thy hands. Nay, so far from injuring thee by an evil act, I worked thee not, but weal in realizing thee form that jail of thine. Now I knew thee to be an evildoer, when thou didst to me what thou didst. And now, when I have cast thee back into the sea, I will warn whomsoever may fish thee up of what hath befallen me with thee. And I will advise him to toss thee back again. So shall thou abide here under these waves to the end of time shall make an end of thee. But the Ifrit cried aloud, Set me free! This is a noble occasion for generosity, and I make covenant with thee, and vow never to do thee hurt and harm. Nay, I will help thee to what shall put thee out of want. The fisherman accepted his promise on both conditions, not to trouble him as before, but, on the contrary, to do him service. See, what are you doing? What are you doing making an agreement with an Ifrit? That's just dumb. Hey, have you never read one of these books? And after making firm the plight and swearing him a solemn oath by Allah Most Highest, he opened the curcubit, the copper cucumber-shaped bottle. Thereupon, the pillar of smoke rose up till all of it was fully out. Then it thickened, and once more became an Ifrit of hideous presence, who forthright administered a kick to the bottle and sent it flying into the sea. The fisherman, seeing how the cucubit was treated, and making sure of his own death, piddled in his clothes, and said to himself, This promised badly. But he fortified his heart, and cried, O Ifrit! Allah hath said, Perform you your covenant, for your performance of your covenant shall be inquired into hereafter. Thou hast made a vow to me, and hast sworn an oath not to play me false, lest Allah play thee false. For verily he is a jealous God, who respiteth the sinner. But letteth him not escape. I say to thee, as said the sage Duban to King Yunnan, Spare me, so Allah may spare thee. Now, we know what happened to that guy. That's the guy that got his head chopped off. He said, if you chop my head off, and place it on this thing with this chemical here, my dead head will answer any questions that you have. And there you have it. And so he did. He had to cut his head off. And sure enough, the head told him, You're a dumbass, and now you're dead too, because I poisoned you. Anyway. Okay. Allah spare thee. Okay, the Ifrit. He is an evil son of a... He's one of the guys that betrayed Allah to begin with. He told you that. They kicked him out of the jinn even. The Ifrit burst into laughter and stalked away, saying to the fisherman, Follow me. And the man paced after him at a safe distance, for he was not assured of escape, till they had passed round the suburbs of the city. Thence they struck into the uncultivated grounds, and crossed them, descended into the broad wilderness, and lo! In the midst of it stood a mountain tarn. This was done. No. The Ifrit waded into the middle and again cried, Follow me. And when this was done, he took his stand in the center and bade the man cast his net and catch his fish. The fisherman looked into the water and was much astonished to see therein very colored fishes, white and red, blue and yellow. However, he cast his net and, hauling it in, saw that he had netted 4 fish, one of each color. Thereat he rejoiced greatly, and more when the Ifrit said to him, "Carry these to the Sultan, and set them in his presence. Then he will give thee what shall make thee a wealthy man. And now accept my excuse, for by Allah, at this time I wot none other way of benefiting thee, inasmuch I have lain in this sea 800 years, and have not seen the face of the world save within this hour. But I would not have thee fish here save once a day." The Ifrit then gave him God speed, saying, "Allah grant we meet again," and struck the earth with one foot, whereupon the ground clove asunder and swallowed him up. The fisherman, much marveling at what had happened to him with the Ifrit, took the fish and made for the city. And as soon as he reached home, he filled an earthen bowl with water, and therein threw the fish, which began to struggle and wriggle about. Then he bore off the bowl upon his head, and repairing to the king's palace, even as the Ifrit had bidden him, laid the fish before the presence, and the king wondered with exceeding wonder at the sight. For never in his lifetime had he seen fishes like these in quality or in conformation. So he said, "Give those fish to the stranger slave girl who now cooketh for us," meaning the bondmaiden whom the king of Roum had sent to him only 3 days before, so that he had not yet made trial of her talents in the dressing of meat. Thereupon the wazir carried the fish to the cook, and bade her fry them, saying, "O damsel, the king saith this say to thee, I have not treasured thee, or teared o me, save for stress time of me." Wow. "Approve then to us this day thy delicate handiwork and thy savory cooking, for this dish of fish is a present sent to the Sultan, and evidently a rarity." The wazir, after he had carefully charged her, returned to the king, who commanded him to give the fisherman 400 dinars. He gave them accordingly, and the man took them to his bosom and ran off home, stumbling and falling and rising again, and deeming the whole thing to be a dream. However, he bought for his family all they wanted, and lastly he went to his wife in huge joy and gladness. So far concerning him, but as regards the cookmaid, she took the fish and cleansed them and set them in the frying pan, basting them with oil till one side was dressed. Then she turned them over, and behold, the kitchen wall crave asunder, and therefrom came a young lady, fair of form, oval of face, perfect in grace, with eyelids which kohl lines encase. Her dress was a silken head kerchief, fringed and tasseled with blue. A large ring hung from either ear. A pair of bracelets adorned her wrists. Rings with bezels of priceless gems were on her fingers. She, hand in hand, a long rod of rattan cane, which she thrust into the frying pan, saying, O fish, be ye constant to your covenant." When the cookmaiden saw this apparition, she swooned away. The young lady repeated her words a second time, and a third time, and at last the fishes raised their heads from the pan, and sang in articulate speech, "Yes, yes." began with one voice to recite, "Come back, and so will I. Keep faith, and so will I. And if ye fain forsake, I requite till quates we cry." After this, the young lady upset the frying pan and went forth by the way she came in, and the kitchen wall closed upon her. When the cook maiden recovered from her fainting fit, she saw the 4 fishes charred black as charcoal, and crying out, "His staff brake in his first bout." She again fell swooning to the ground. Whilst she was in this case, the wazir came for the fish, and looking upon her, as insensible she lay, not knowing Sunday from Thursday, shoved her with his foot and said, "Bring the fish for the Sultan." Thereupon, recovering from her fainting fit, she wept and informed him of her case and all that had befallen her. The wazir marveled greatly, and exclaiming, "This is none other than a right strange matter," he sent after the fisherman, and said to him, "Thou, O fisherman, must needs fetch us 4 fish like those thou brought us before." Thereupon the man repaired to the tarn and cast his net, and when he landed it, lo, 4 fishes were therein exactly like the first. These he at once carried to the wazir, and went in with them to the cook maiden, and said, "Up with thee, and fry these in my presence, that I may see this business." The damsel arose, cleansed the fish, and set them in the frying pan over the fire. However, they remained there but a little while ere the wall crave asunder, and the young lady appeared, clad as before, and holding in her hand the wand, which she again thrust into the frying pan, saying, O fish, be ye constant to your olden covenant." And behold, the fish lifted their heads and repeated, "Yes, yes," and recited this couplet, "Come back, and so will I. Keep faith, and so will I. But if ye fain forsake, I requite till quites we cry." That's twice now, and I got it better the second time. When the fishes spoke, and the young lady upset the frying pan with her rod, and went forth by the way she came in, the wall closed up. The wazir cried out, "This is a thing not to be hidden from the king." So he went and told him what had happened. Whereupon, quoth the king, "There is no help for it, but that I see this with mine own eyes." Then he sent for the fisherman, and commanded him to bring 4 other fish like the first, and to take with him 3 men as witnesses. The fisherman at once brought the fish, and the king, after ordering them to give him 400 gold pieces, turned to the wazir and said, "Up and fry me the fishes here before me." The minister replied, "To hear is to obey." Bade bring the frying pan, threw therein the cleansed fish, and set it over the fire. When lo, the wall crave asunder, and out burst a black slave like a huge rock, or a remnant of the tribe Ad, bearing in hand a branch of a green tree, and he cried in loud, terrible tones, O fish, be ye constant to your antique covenant." Whereupon the fishes lifted their heads from the frying pan and said, "Yes, yes, we be true to our vow." And they again recited the couplet, "Come back, and so will I. Keep faith, and so will I. But if ye fain forsake, I requite till quites we cry. Let's take a look at this road. We've been too long without taking a look at the road. We still heading up the hill. Yeah. Big excitement. In the summertime, boy, she's hot. You got to be careful about how hard you push it. You see the vehicles on the side of the road all the time. This one's not quite as bad as the one going through Payson for that kind of thing, because you got to go so slow anyway. Vehicles have a better chance. That one in Payson is a double lane road, you know. It's a lot faster road, a 65-mile-an-hour road the whole way, so even up the hills. So if you can, you do. All right. Yeah, okay, we're almost at the top here. We do a couple of little zips and doodles, and oh yeah, coming up here on the right is we just leave the reservation land, and we get just a little bit of a space of I think it's owned by a mine, and then there's some forest land where we often dip into just if we need to have a couple hours rest or something before we get back down into the real heat. But yeah, okay, let's get back to this story, see if I can find out where we at. Oh right, we just did the poem, or the couplet again. Right, okay, it wasn't a beautiful woman this time, it was a big black cook guy or something. So then a huge blackamoor approached the frying pan and upset it with the branch, and went forth by the way he came in. When he vanished from their sight, the king inspected the fish, and finding them all charred black as charcoal, was utterly bewildered, and said to the wazir, "Verily, this is a matter whereanent silence cannot be kept. And as for the fishes, assuredly some marvelous adventure connects with them." So he bade the fisherman and asked him, saying, "Fie on thee, fellow, whence came these fishes?" And he answered, "From a tarn between 4 heights lying between this mountain, which is in sight of thy city." Quoth the king, "How many days' march?" Quoth he, "O Lord, the Sultan, a walk of half an hour." The king wondered, and straightway ordered his men to march, and horsemen to mount, led off the fisherman, who went before as guide, privily damning the Ifrit. They fared on till they had climbed the mountain and descended into a great desert which they had never seen during all their lives. And the Sultan and his merry men marveled much at the world set in the midst of 4 mountains, and the tarn and its fishes of 4 colors, red and white, yellow and blue. The king stood fixed to the spot in wonderment, and asked his troops and all present, "Hath any one among you ever seen this piece of water before now?" And all made answer, "O king of the age, never did we set eyes upon it during all our days." They also questioned the oldest inhabitants they met, men well stricken in years, but they replied, each and every, "A lakelet? This we never saw in this place." Thereupon quoth the king, "By Allah, I will neither return to my capital nor sit upon the throne of my forebears till I learn the truth about this tarn and the fish therein." He then ordered his men to dismount and bivouac all around the mountain, which they did, and summoning his wazir, a minister of much experience, sagacious, of penetrating wit, and well versed in affairs, said to him, "'Tis in my mind to do a certain thing, whereof I will inform thee. My heart telleth me to fare forth alone this night, and root out the mystery of this tarn and its fishes. Do thou take thy seat at my tent door, and say to the emirs and wazirs, the nabobs and the chamberlains, in fine to all who ask thee, the Sultan is ill at ease, and has ordered me to refuse all admittance. And be careful thou let none know my design. And the wazir could not oppose him. Then the king changed his dress and ornaments, and, slinging his sword over his shoulder, took a path which led up the mountains, and marched for the rest of the night till morning dawned. Nor did he cease wayfaring till the heat was too much for him. After his long walk, he rested for a while, and then resumed his march, and fared on through the second night till dawn, when suddenly there appeared a black point in the far distance. Hereat he rejoiced, and said to himself, haply someone here shall acquaint me with the mystery of the tarn and its fishes. Presently drawing near the dark object, he found in a palace built of swart stone, plated with iron, and while one leaf of the gate stood wide open, the other was shut. The king's spirits rose high as he stood before the gate, and rapped a light rap, but hearing no answer, he knocked a second knock, and a third, yet there came no sign. Then he knocked his loudest, but still no answer. So he said, doubtless 'tis empty. Thereupon he mustered up resolution, and boldly walked through the main gate into the great hall, and there cried out aloud, Hola, ye people of the palace! I am a stranger and a wayfarer. Have you aught here of victual? He repeated his cry a second time, and a third, but still there came no reply. So, strengthening his heart and making up his mind, he stalked through the vestibule and into the very middle of the palace, and found no man in it. Yet it was furnished with silken stuffs, gold-starred, and the hangings were let down over the doorways. In the midst was a spacious court, off which set 4 open saloons, each with its raised dais, saloon facing saloon. A canopy shaded the court, and in the center was a jetting fount with 4 figures of lions. Oh boy, here we go. With 4 figures of lions made of red gold, spouting from their mouths water, clear as pearls and diaphanous gems. I don't know what that. Around about the palace birds were let loose, and over it stretched a net of golden wire, hindering them from flying off. In the brief, there was everything but human beings. The king marveled mightily thereat, yet felt he sad at heart, for that he saw no one to give him account of the waste and its tarn, the fishes, the mountains, and the palace itself. Presently, as he sat between the doors in deep thought, behold, there came a voice of lament, and from his heart grief spent, and he heard the voice chanting the verses. I hid what I endured of him, and yet it came to light. And nightly sleep mine eyelids fled, and changed to sleepless night. O world, O fate, withhold thy hand, and cease thy hurt and harm. Look and behold my hapless sprite, in color and affright. Wilt ne'er show ruth to high-born youth, who lost him on the way of love, and felt from wealth and fame to lowest base wight. Jealous of Zephyr's breath was I, as on your form he breathed. But when as destiny descends, she blindeth human sight. What shall the hapless archer do, who, when he fronts his foes and bends his bow to shoot, the shaft shall find its string undight? When cark and care so heavily bear on youth of generous soul, how shall he scape his lot, where from fate his place of flight? Now, when the Sultan heard the mournful voice, he sprang to his feet, and, following the sound, found a certain curtain let down over a chamber door. He raised it, and saw behind it a young man sitting upon a couch about a cubit above the ground, and fair to the side, a well-shaped wight with eloquence delight. His forehead was flowery white, his cheeks rosy bright, and a mole on his cheek breatheth like an ambergris might. Yeah, boy. Even as the poet clothe indite. Okay, I just chew these poems up, so I'm not even going to try this one right now because that's the end of it right here, so I don't want to leave it all chewed up like that. So we'll just kind of finish it off here. That was Timber Camp on the right over there. And okay guys, thanks for coming along. Samsy.